Welcome to the deep dive. This week, you've brought us a really exciting set of sources, all centered on one huge publication that just dropped in oncology.
A big one. A phase 3 trial.
A very big one. It looks at advanced urothelial cancer, so bladder cancer for most people, and the results are so decisive, they're basically forcing everyone to rethink the standard of care.
Forcing a complete recalculation, yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're looking at a study from late 2025, a head-to-head fight between standard chemotherapy and this new combination therapy.
Right, for patients who haven't had any treatment before.
Exactly, the frontline setting.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to get past the dense statistics and really explain not just what the results were, but why this is such a fundamental leap forward.
You know, it's fascinating because urothelial cancer has always been a tough nut to crack.
Right.
For patients with advanced disease, survival was, well, it was often pretty poor. And the standard treatment, platinum-based chemo, it works for a bit, but it comes with some really debilitating side effects. That's the world we were living in.
So that's the backdrop. Now, what about this new combination? What are the two key players here?
Okay, so the first is a drug called disitamab vedotin. We'll just call it DV.
DV, got it.
It's what we call an antibody drug conjugate, or an ADC. And it's specifically built to hunt for a protein called HER2 that's on the cancer cells.
So it's like a smart bomb.
It's exactly like a smart bomb or a guided missile. It finds that HER2 flag latches on and delivers this highly toxic payload directly inside the cancer cell, which helps spare the rest of the body.
Okay, that's player one, the guided missile. What's the second part of the combo?
The second is toripalimab. It's a PD-1-directed immunotherapy. We've talked about these before. They're the drugs that essentially, take the brakes off the patient's own immune system.
Letting the T cells do their job.
Exactly. Allowing them to finally recognize and attack the cancer. And this is where the real magic, the potential for synergy comes in.
Synergy. I saw that word all over the sources. But help me understand that. If the ADC is already delivering poison and killing the cancer cell, why do you also need to unleash the immune system?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, and it's really the key to all of this. The thinking is, when that ADC missile hits the cancer cell, it doesn't just kill it quietly.
Okay.
It causes something called immunogenic cell death. The cell basically explodes in a way that releases all these new cancer antigens, little pieces of the tumor, out into the environment.
Things the immune system hasn't seen before.
Precisely. Now, if the immune system's brakes were still on, it wouldn't matter. But because toripalimab has already cut the brakes, the T cells are primed and ready to go. So the ADC provides the target practice, and the immunotherapy provides the army.
So they work together to turn a cold tumor into a hot one that the immune system can remember and fight long term.
That's the theory.
Yeah.
And that's what this massive trial was designed to prove.
Which makes the design so important. You can have a great theory, but you have to test it against the current standard. And this was a really rigorous phase 3 trial, multi-center, open label, randomized.
The hundreds of patients, dozens of hospitals, so you know the results are real and not just a fluke at one location.
And the patients they enrolled were very specific. They had to be previously untreated, and the cancer had to be locally advanced or metastatic.
But the key criterion, the most important part, is that they had to be HER2 expressing. This is the definition of precision medicine. We're matching the drug to the biology of the tumor.
And I noticed in the sources they included a really wide range of HER2 expression, all the way from IHC 1+ day, which is pretty low, up to 2+ and 3+ day. Why include the low expressors? Weren't they worried it would water down the result?
That's a really sharp observation.
Yeah.
And it's actually one of the smartest things about the trial design. You're right. You'd think the drug would only work on the high expressors, the 3+ patients.
Yeah.
But some of the earlier, smaller trials hinted that even those IHC 1+ patients got a real benefit if you paired the ADC with immunotherapy.
So it was about the combination.
It was. And by including them, they massively expanded the number of patients who could potentially benefit from this. If it works across the board, from low to high, then you're not just treating a tiny fraction of patients. You're treating a huge chunk of them.
Maximizing the impact. Okay, so they find these patients, and they're randomized 1-to-1. Group 1 gets the new combo, DVT, every 2 weeks.
And Group 2, the control arm, gets the old standard of care, gemcitabine plus a platinum drug like cisplatin or carboplatin every 3 weeks.
And the goals, what were they measuring for success?
They set up two primary goals, or endpoints.
Right.
First, progression-free survival, or PFS. Basically, how long do patients live before the cancer gets worse?
Okay.
And second, the big one, overall survival, or OS, the ultimate measure. And both were checked by independent reviewers who were blinded, so they didn't know which patient got which drug. It removes any bias.
Here's where it gets really interesting. So let's dive into the results. We're talking about 484 patients with about an 18-month follow-up. The big question was, can this new combo beat chemo?
And the answer was not just yes, but a resounding yes.
Let's start with that first goal, progression-free survival. For the standard chemo group, the median PFS was 6.5 months.
Which is, pretty much what we've seen for years. That's the benchmark.
That's the baseline. But for the DVT group, the median PFS was 13.1 months.
It's a literal doubling, a doubling of the time patients had before their disease progressed. I mean, the statistic they used, the hazard ratio, was 0.36.
Can you translate that for us? What does a hazard ratio of 0.36 actually mean for a patient?
It means that if you were in the DVT group, you had a 64% lower risk of your cancer getting worse or of dying compared to someone on chemo. 64%.
Wow.
This isn't just a small step. It fundamentally changes the course of the disease. It's a completely different journey for the patient.
A 64% reduction in risk. That's just staggering. But like you said, PFS is one thing. The gold standard is overall survival. How did that look?
The story just gets better.
Yeah.
So in the standard chemotherapy arm, the median overall survival was 16.9 months. That's the bar.
Almost 17 months.
Right. But for the new DVT combination, the median OS was 31.5 months.
Say that again?
31.5 months. It added nearly 15 months of life. That's an 88% improvement in median survival time. The hazard ratio for death was 0.54, which is a nearly 50% reduction in the risk of death.
I mean, is this the biggest survival benefit we've seen in this disease, in this setting, ever?
I think it's safe to say yes, absolutely. To see a median overall survival break 30 months for advanced disease, it's transformative.
Yeah.
We used to talk about survival in the low teens. This pushes it into a whole new category. It's giving people substantial, meaningful time back.
And that time is so critical. But let's also talk about how well the drugs worked right away. That's shrinking the tumors. That's the objective response rate. For chemo, it was 50.2%. So 1 in 2 patients had their tumors shrink. That's the benchmark. For the DVT group, the response rate was 76.1%.
And that difference is so important. It means 3 out of every 4 patients are getting an immediate, tangible benefit. Their tumors are shrinking. That's why the PFS is so much better. The treatment is getting the cancer under control right from the start.
So better control, doubled PFS, almost doubled OS.
Yeah.
But let's pause here because this is usually where the other shoe drops. You're combining a potent toxin with an immune stimulant. I have to assume the side effects were just brutal.
And that is the incredible twist in this story. You would absolutely think that. Better efficacy almost always comes at the cost of worse toxicity.
Right.
But the safety profile was, amazingly, more favorable than chemotherapy.
More favorable? How is that even possible? What did the numbers show for the really serious side effects?
We look at what are called grade 3 or higher adverse events. These are the serious ones that might land you in the hospital. In the standard chemo group, 86.9% of patients had one of these severe side effects.
So almost 9 out of 10 people.
A very rough road. Now, in the new DVT combination group, that number was 55.1%.
Whoa. So let me just get this straight for everyone listening. You have a treatment that's twice as effective, but it caused 30 percentage points fewer severe side effects.
That's exactly right. It's the definition of a clinical home run.
But why? How?
It comes down to the mechanism.
Yeah.
Chemotherapy is, a systemic poison. It hits everything. It crushes your bone marrow so you can't make blood cells. It can damage your kidneys.
Right.
The DVT combo, because the DV part is targeted to HER2, has fewer of those systemic effects. The side effects are different. Things like skin reactions or neuropathy, which, while serious, are often more manageable than the kind of organ damage you can get from platinum chemotherapy.
So it's not just that the number of severe events was lower, but the type of event was probably more tolerable for the patient.
Exactly. The quality of that extra time they were getting was likely much, much better.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate for a second. The results are amazing, almost too good to be true. Were there any limitations the researchers pointed out? The trial was open label. Couldn't that introduce some bias?
It's a fair question to ask, but the trial designers were smart about that. While the doctors and patients knew what drug they were on, the people who actually measured the results, the progression and survival, were part of a blinded independent review.
So they didn't know.
They had no idea. It's a mechanism specifically designed to cancel out that kind of bias. And honestly, with a benefit this huge, it's almost impossible for it to be a fluke.
So the data is solid.
The data is rock solid. The main challenge isn't about the data, it's about what's next. This only works for the HER2 expressing patients. What about the 25 or 30% who don't have that marker? This trial is a huge win for one group, but it reminds us we still have work to do for the others.
So what does this all mean? When you put it all together, the conclusion from the data seems, well, it seems unavoidable. Disitamab vedotin plus toripalimab is the new standard of care.
There's no other way to read it. This isn't incremental progress. It's a paradigm shift for this group of patients.
Let's just hammer home the 4 key numbers for everyone to make sure they stick. The comparison between the new combo and old chemo.
Let's do it.
Progression-free survival, more than doubled, 13.1 months versus 6.5.
Overall survival,
Yeah.
nearly doubled, an incredible 31.5 months versus 16.9.
The chance of your tumor shrinking, the response rate, jumped from 50% to 76%.
And finally, the rate of severe, grade 3 or higher side effects. It went down from almost 87% with chemo to just 55% with the new combo.
Better results and safer. It validates the whole theory, doesn't it? Combining a precision weapon with a broad immune attack.
It absolutely does. It proves the concept in the most spectacular way. Better outcomes, better tolerance.
So what's the final thought you want to leave our listeners with, the bigger picture here?
The final thought is this. This trial is about so much more than just urothelial cancer. What we've just seen is a powerful, successful blueprint.
A blueprint.
A blueprint for combining a targeted ADC, which acts like a precision weapon, with an immune checkpoint inhibitor that unlocks the body's own defenses. The ADC doesn't just kill the tumor, it helps the immunotherapy work better. So the big question now is, where else can we use this?
Right.
Many other cancers express HER2, or similar proteins we can target. Could this same strategy, this 1-2 punch of a targeted kill and an immune unlock, become the new foundation for treating a whole range of other cancers? This trial strongly suggests the answer is yes, and that opens up a whole new world of possibilities in oncology.